the meeting to order, the Board of Health. We will review the minutes of the previous meeting. Any, no comments?
No changes.
corrections. No.
Okay. All in favor of accepting the minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Minutes have been passed.
All right. The next item on the agenda this evening is the Board of Health Annual Report to the Board of Selectmen Review. The final deadline in writing is 12 noon on Wednesday, November 28th, and the report date is scheduled for the evening of Monday, December 3rd. So it's important at least one of you is able to attend, and I think you, Pam, had mentioned that you could present that evening, which is great.
Thank you, Pam.
Sure.
I'm not laughing at you, I'm like
No.
a dedicated volunteer.
Oh, that's fine. I just have to write the report.
I think, did Megan send you some bullet points, or she was going to if she hasn't already?
I haven't looked at my.
Okay. She might not have before she left,
I
so
don't
if
think
she did.
so. Did she left Friday was her last day?
So check your spam folder in your email. We were having email issues. So
Okay.
it's not in your inbox. It could be
Maybe
in
spam.
Okay.
But if
Okay.
not, we can get it to you
Okay.
before.
Okay. You want to do the work session?
Sure. Move on to the report of the health director.
Please.
So for departmental news, Megan attended the Cape and Island Health Agent Coalition meeting and was nominated to be the chair, which is very exciting to have our own. I completed my soil evaluator course, but I'm still waiting to get my results back, so fingers crossed. Mark Postelli started working part-time mid-November and has been a great asset to have back. He'll be working 2 to 3 days per week for a total of 19 hours a week. There was an informational meeting held October 3rd that provided information to residents in Phase 2 on what steps are needed and when they need to be completed by, which was very helpful for residents. Both Jen and Megan attended that. On October 5th, the state adopted the 2013 Federal Food Code. This new code, along with amendments to the state sanitary code, have changed several key parts of the previous code we were working under. The definition for a food establishment has changed, which now excludes places that sell only foods that are prepackaged and that do not require any refrigeration, as well as bed and breakfast establishments that have 6 guest rooms or fewer. So these changes will take 8 to 10 establishments off of our permit list, and it will result in approximately $2,000 worth of revenue that we'll be losing from the general fund.
Why did they take off? Can I ask a question? You're saying it's low risk. I would have thought that smaller places could be higher risk.
So it,
Smaller, let's say, bed and breakfast and that type of thing.
so
The state came up with this definition, and so their overall experiences are there less risk? Okay, well.
and with the prepackaged foods, it's nothing that can be
Prepackaged, you know, that prepackaged I get,
It's
but
just the
not
bed and
if they're
breakfast.
making bed and breakfast. If they're making food, preparing food that's outside of prepackaged, I would have thought it would have been a risk, but anyway.
They came up with 6. I'm not sure how.
No, but that, they must have data, so
Somewhere.
go with the flow with that one, okay.
Other changes include reducing the hot holding to 135 degrees Fahrenheit as well, and expunging the need for a variance to use time as public health control. Those are the key changes to the code that they're implementing.
What does that mean,
Which part?
the last part about,
So prior to this update, any establishment that used time as a method of control as opposed to temperature,
oh, I get it,
they
okay.
no longer have to get a variance.
Okay.
We don't have any establishments in Harwich that use time that I can think of.
You know, length of time that they cook something or
Instead of
refrigerate it or
monitoring the
whatever. Okay.
temperature, they just
Yeah.
dispose of the food after 6 hours, as long as it's at least the ambient temperature is 70 degrees, so. they've
Reminds me
changed.
of a child that I heard on the television. They were asking children what their recipe was for cooking Thanksgiving turkey, and this child said, 10 degrees for 30 days. That
Ooh,
would
Ooh,
definitely
I wanna
not
eat
make
that.
it.
Cute.
Little salmonella. In other news, Megan was able to obtain a wellness grant for the town to be used for an employee wellness program. So money will go towards rewards for employees who complete any either fitness or wellness activity, which is a good incentive to get everyone involved.
Is that the municipal wellness program that you've had before? And does that money come from DPH?
I'm not sure where the money comes from, but yes, the program is
Yeah.
like that.
Cool. Good.
Yes. The VNA had a school nurse in Harwich reach out to them about the nutrition detective program as well, which is a 3-part educational program that teaches children 5 clues on how to make healthy food choices. And the goals of the program are to teach children to make healthy food choices, give them an opportunity to practice what they learned, and then empower them to actually share what they learned with their family. So hopefully it's teach the kids and they can bring it home and spread it. So Megan approved some of our wellness services budget in order to teach the whole 4th grade this program, which is really a good opportunity. And the school nurse will coordinate with the VNA to make that whole program possible.
It's great.
Last but not least, we had our annual employee flu clinic on October 29th, which was a great success. We vaccinated 111 people this year, and we ran the clinic as an emergency dispensing site drill to satisfy our deliverable to the state Department of Public Health. And Megan would just like to acknowledge and thank the town nurse, Sue Giselle, for her assistance in administering vaccines, as well as providing volunteer staff, as well as Carolyn Carey, Robin Kelly, Lee Culver, and Deirdre Arvison were all really great help during that time. So that's it for department news. Move on to correspondence, if that's all right with everyone. So you may have noticed that in your packets are the 2019 Board of Health meeting dates and filing dates. Jen did a nice job of laminating them, making them nice and neat. And there's also an up-to-date emergency contact list in there as well, which is not provided for public distribution. It's just an emergency list for us. That's it for correspondence. You have time? Yeah, we do. So for permits, we recommend the approval of all the permits listed with the exception of Woods Vermont Syrup Company. We received an incomplete application, so we recommend that it be held until we are provided with their base of operation. That was all that we needed for their application, but everything else was fine.
do I hear a motion to pass permits?
I'll make a motion we pass the permits excluding Woods Vermont Syrup Company.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Permits have passed. Okay.
We don't have anything else for other, unless you guys have anything. The polka. Sure. So Megan had included in here as well, we were contacted by POCA, which I think I left on my desk. Thank you. That was attached to the departmental news. So just something to think about in the future. They're contacting all the towns, trying to get everyone to band Roundup. So they'll be coming at some point to discuss that and present it in front of you guys. They included the letter here. So just something to keep on the back burner for now.
So we have to vote on that once they present, or it's just automatic, or what?
Depends, last time they didn't have,
Yeah.
yeah, so we'll have to wait and see. Right now, this is all we know, just kind of
This'll be great.
limited
We
information.
used to have bamboo on our on the edge of our property from the next door neighbor, and Roundup was the chemical of choice. So I think it's really important for, who would ever think that bamboo could grow on Cape Cod, but it did, quite wildly. So I think it's good for people to know the impact they can have on a lot of things.
Mhm. There was also a letter from the Cape Cod Commission regarding water quality as well in the back of that.
I have a correction on the,
Sure.
Let me get
I forgot before,
yes, okay,
sorry.
go ahead, Pam.
So I want to give you my cell number instead of the home number.
Okay, what is it?
508-292-2757.
Okay.
So should we note that too, so we're not calling you at home?
I'll do an amended
Okay,
list, and I'll
okay.
bring it to the next meeting.
All right.
And then the last little thing that we can mention, we did issue a fine to Value Mart on the 23rd. Is it the 23rd that it was issued? So Mark had found quite a bit of expired food. We had given them a warning. Mark came back and there was still quite a few items that were expired. I believe he found even Twinkies that had been expired. And there was a few dairy items that they found. So Mark had gone back again and there were still items.
Where is this place? It's obviously on Route
A
28.
Dairy
but
Queen?
Oh, that's called Value Mart?
Little gas station there.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
it's too bad, yeah.
So we're trying to use it as an educational piece.
Yeah.
There's new employees coming in.
Yeah.
So he went there, told them about all the out-of-date stuff.
And he actually had them, he stayed there and threw everything away. He
Okay.
witnessed that it happened.
Yeah,
And then went back for a follow-up and there was new product that was out, that was expired. That was not there when he was there the previous time.
Huh.
terrible.
Where they're buying their product. Someone's might be pulling wool over their eyes. Maybe that's why it's cheaper.
Well, it's not, I mean, it's pretty basic to read the expiration date, and if they can't do that, maybe they should come see us for a little explanation on why they're selling out-of-date food. So that's good that Mark's on it.
Yes.
That might be a nice little intern project for the summer. Because there's a lot of controversy about that. Obviously, if you're selling it, it should not be past expiration date. But when you look into the science behind it, it's the industry, not the Health and Human Services, the drivers of that, to get old stuff off so people will buy new product from the same company. And so there's, because I had to look into this for the food pantry in North Reading. So if you had something in your home, let's say, I'll make this up, rice pilaf, it's probably, depending on a short time lead from the deadline, you could probably use it, or can things, the same thing, but it shouldn't be sold. That's a whole different issue, which is the issue on the table right now.
So Mark's been involved and he's working on helping them retrain a new employee. Hopefully it won't be an issue any longer.
Well, that might be a great thing, though, for other stores, like especially if they have the summer help that comes and may or may not read English well, or be knowledgeable about that from their own country.
Will you put the cell phones away, please?
Who's got a cell phone?
I'm sorry? I was looking
Oh.
up sell-by date to see if it's the same thing as shelf life.
Yeah.
I don't think it is. I think it's voluntary.
I don't think so, but anyway, that might be, if you find that this isn't the only place, a little fact sheet with readability level of 6th grade. That's what we used to use at the Department of Public Health to educate, let's say, teenagers or young adults who may be unawares of this. Might be a helpful tool to have a summer intern do, because they could probably whip it together in a week and get it approved. So just a thought they could put on the maybe to-do list for interns possibly for the future.
That's good.
Here's what this particular article states about that. A product that is past its shelf life might still be safe, but quality is no longer guaranteed. In most food store, waste is minimized by using stock rotation, which involves moving products with the earliest sell-by date from the warehouse to the sales area, and then to the front of the shelf, so that most shoppers will pick them up first and are thus likely to be sold before they even reach shelf life. Some stores can be fined for selling out-of-date products. Most, if not all, would have to mark such products down as waste, resulting in a financial loss.
Interesting.
I just like to see them taking Mark seriously. And if he
Yes.
goes there, he
Yes.
has
If
them
it happens
haul all the
again, we
food
should-
out.
Right.
Okay.
He goes back there and they're playing a game. That's not right, because people are gonna
Right.
get sick. And it's
Right.
a simple thing to read.
Right,
So my recommendation to Mark is thanks. And if they don't seem to understand the importance of it, let us know.
Okay.
And we'll bring them in here and we'll find them. That simple. It's not right to sell food that's out of date. Don't be in the food business if you can't follow the
right.
rules.
Especially you don't want people getting food
You don't want
poisoning.
them sick. It's
Yeah.
simple. It's got a date on it. It's no good, throw it away. Give it back to your suppliers. There's a whole business to it. I'm disappointed that Mark's got to go there twice. I don't think that that's right. Something's amiss. So let's keep an eye on them.
And Megan included the letter that she sent them in your packets as well.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep a close eye on them, and nothing works better than a fine to a businessman.
Agree.
That's all.
Sorry about the noise.
No problem. Next.
That's it for,
So we have to pause.
Can I bring up something? I think in the future, we need to take time to look at requests, especially in the campground area, the ones that want to maybe not increase habitable space, which was a precondition, but increasing the size of the building, maybe a second floor or something, and switching the rooms around so there's still not more bedrooms than there are now. I think we just need to discuss that a little further on what we want to do in general, because I have a feeling as time goes on, we're going to be getting more and more requests, and it may be, some may be appropriate and others may not, so I just wanted to, down the road, have a discussion on your thoughts on this.
You think we're gonna be getting more requests? Is that what kind of drives this?
Well, we seem to get a lot, and that's the main place where I'm thinking we have a lot of restrictions from old deeds, you know, when you bought them 15 years ago, that type of thing. And to look at what we really want to see, what we really will allow, have set standards so that we know going into a situation, yes, this is appropriate, or no. Just a discussion among us that we shouldn't allow this, really, you know, hash it out, that type of thing.
Well, I think it also has to do with, you know, taking a home and making it more energy efficient. You know, if you're gonna go and renovate a home and spend the kind of money that they're doing down there to rebuild these houses on these tiny lots, upgrading the septic systems, that I think that you've got to be a little more lenient. I'm taking the opposite approach, where if they're going to go in there and make the home energy efficient, put in high efficiency heating systems, upgrade the insulation, upgrade the roof and everything like that, stay on that tiny footprint, that there should be some trade-off as long as they're not increasing bedroom counts, which is what we're tying them to.
Right.
That the increase in habitable space is negligent. And I think that the idea behind it was that, you know, oh, are we gonna let them double the size of the thing and then they're gonna, you know, sneak in walls and do that? And I think that that's, you know, when I see the age of the people that are buying those houses, the price tag of the people that can afford to buy those houses, they're playing by the rules. They're not just, you know, willy-nilly going to Home Depot and putting up a bedroom wall here or there. So I think the trade-off is to give them a little more space if it's reasonable. Because the counterbalance is that they're increasing the value of that area. They're increasing the
And that's a good point.
and they're using less resources to heat them, and I mean those are all done with 80% furnaces, and they're all going to 90 plus with heavy duty windows and all that jazz. So I know we get a lot of those requests.
Plus, it helps with affordable housing, which is a huge issue on the Cape.
How so?
Well, if it's I don't know the campground, but if it's a
Well,
smaller
it's the
home,
area all behind
CVS.
behind CVS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
From those substantial homes in like behind Sativa to like kind of past Dairy Queen, where they kind of get bigger again.
yeah, no, what I'm saying is if they are smaller homes to start out with, and they're not increasing footage of bedrooms or the like, but improving the environmental impact, then I think that's a good thing to support that because of the lack of affordable housing on the Cape. So that way you can have more one of the challenges is to have the younger generation who work here be able to afford to live on the Cape versus having to go over the bridge. And maybe I'm wrong, but that's all the big arguments I heard during the recent election, that there's a number of issues on the Cape that are an issue, but affordable housing is one of them.
None of those houses would qualify as affordable, though.
Oh, they wouldn't?
No,
Oh.
they're all like
Well, yeah, I
400
just
to
wanted to
500,000.
have you think about
I think that's a
it.
great thought to do that because I think it's better to be proactive and have it clear what process or guidelines we're willing to look at rather than always be reactive if we're unclear. So you bring up some good points there that way will help guide us and then the folks that apply.
This is interesting.
To me, the problem we still haven't really dealt with or even been able to deal with is the definition of habitable space. As we were talking last time, you have 4 rooms, one of which is a storeroom and one of which is a billiards room. And it's quite clear that is not immutable, that you could move the billiard table out and move in a bed. You could have people put air mattresses in the middle of a living room and sleep on that. Any room is habitable space under the right circumstances, and I think that makes it very difficult to enforce how much habitable space there is in a given house, with or without renovation. And I'm puzzled that nobody has come up with a good definition so that we can rely on it for saying, well, you've got 1 large room and 4 small rooms. That's 4.5 rooms of habitable space, or whatever it is, and then you set your standard that way, rather than trying to figure out, well, these good people, would they not want to convert their storeroom into a bedroom? Well, you can't tell that. I mean, good people and people with evil intent look pretty much the same on the surface.
And I bet you some other towns on the Cape have had to deal with this, so that even might be a starting point of what do other towns, how do they deal with this? And maybe they have written guidelines. It might not be that we wanna have those, but at least it's a starting point, and they might share their experience, like, gee, this part of it did work, or this part of it doesn't.
I mean, there are established set sizes for bedrooms and square
Right.
footage
You
and
have to
stuff
have
like that.
outlets and all that,
Egress and that kind of thing. But I hear your point, and I think it's a balance. I think it's a case-by-case scenario like
Yeah,
we've been
yeah.
doing.
Well, maybe when we have a later meeting, agenda, that would be a good time to leave whatever we think is reasonable, like 30 minutes or whatever it is, to have a good discussion about that.
And we have a realtor, so that would be
Yeah.
a big help.
And then we can find out what we don't know and do some more work on it, so we
Yeah,
come up
and-
with something.
Megan's gonna have a substantial amount of information and background on that. She worked for Paula for a long time, and there's a precedent set that kind of goes back, and I think as long as we follow precedent,
Stick with
we're
that.
in the, we're treating everybody as fairly
Yeah.
as we can. It'd be nice to say yes to everything, but some things are a trade-off, like the case last month with the shower. We asked them to remove a shower because it looked just like a apartment downstairs. And that, I think is kind of going back to precedent.
Yeah, but for the newer board members, it might be good to go over those type of things.
Sure, yeah, I think Megan could be helpful with that.
Yeah. Just
Put
let it,
a placeholder in for
Yeah.
either January or February.
or March. Probably beginning of the year we'll be busy with sewer stuff.
There may be a lot of people interested in this before the spring and summer start to know where they stand with their relatives visiting.
Okay.
We got a few minutes? We have a few minutes, that's why we're kicking around
Can't
old
start before
issues.
7.
In case someone's looking for a parking spot.
Have all of you signed in here?
Is Megan here today?
No, she is not here today.
Surprised to see all of town hall open, but that's because they had yesterday off.
That's right. The wheels of progress are turning nicely today.
What's that?
The wheels of progress are turning nicely today.
Yeah, it was warm and light.
Light snow on Thursday.
Not here.
Well, might be. It's good we're not on Western.
Dear?
I said it's good we're not on Western Mass.
Yeah, right. Worcester and beyond.
Well, we've been lucky so far with the weather.
Here and Boston.
So my daughter and her son, my baby is coming up for Christmas.
Oh, that's exciting. Oh, that's fantastic.
And I have a week off that she's coming with just before her husband comes, so it'll be the 3 of us.
Oh, a little bonding. Ladies at lunch. That's gonna be nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Don must be excited.
He hasn't seen him.
It's like June went to Florida, right, by yourself? Oh, boy. He's gonna be a smitten kitten.
I think so.
Yeah. Is that your first granddaughter?
Grandson.
Grandson.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. That's
Yeah.
a really big deal. What part of Florida are they?
Delray,
Oh, that's nice, huh?
one of those, gated communities,
Yeah.
but it's all younger people their age and with babies and small kids. Okay, all right. 7 o'clock, let's call the meeting to order.
The first item of this evening is old and unfinished business. Notice appeal Rebecca Carey with Siegel Trust, Realty Trust, 12 Pleasant Valley Road. Notice of appeal has been received for the order to correct a violation at 12 Pleasant Valley Road. No? Anyone present?
Is anyone in the audience present on this case?
So a little background, since no one's here to present. This was originally a non-conforming compliance with an order issued June 2nd, 2018 regarding the housing code violation. At the last Board of Health meeting, you decided that the homeowner would be the responsible party for the trash cleanup.
Yes.
The property is currently vacant and the owner is looking to sell quickly.
Is that the new owner, the one that just bought the house?
It's been the current owner. It was a tenant in the property that's now out.
But the house now doesn't belong to her anymore, right?
Yes.
It's under a trust.
It's-
The owner is under a trust.
No, but they just sold to a different trust, right?
Did it go through?
I
No.
don't think so.
No.
Person who's in there was a renter.
No, there was a deed.
So Rebecca is the
Transfer of
trustee,
property.
Yes.
i.e. the director of the trust,
Right.
which owns the house, which has all the trash in it.
Correct.
And she's not moved to remove the trash at this time because she wants to sell the house and pass the trash along with the house.
So that's wow, that's a case, that's on the market with that, all that stuff on the property?
Well, I don't think we should be waiting for Rebecca's dreams to
No.
come true.
Right.
Can we ask her again nicely to take the trash
I
to the
think we
dump?
have, don't you think?
Do you
I
want
think
to
we've
hear?
asked enough.
Yeah. Hear what Megan?
So the health director recommends standing behind the order issued to Rebecca Carey as the responsible party. The director recommends 2 weeks' time to remove the garbage completely. Any appeal to this order would go through the district court system. Should the order be disregarded, we may issue a criminal complaint at the Orleans District Court. The sanitary code allows for fines between $10 to $500 per day for violations that are not corrected. Megan also made a note that the town could bear the expense of removal of the trash and then charge the owner with any and all expenses incurred. However, this would need to be approved by the town administrator and the Board of Selectmen first.
Well, that sets a precedent.
I think it's an urgent situation.
Hmm.
It's been going on for, when did it start? It's like months.
It's been a long time.
It's affecting
Yeah.
the neighborhood, it's not just this property.
April.
April, excuse me, you're right.
April.
April 17th was the first.
So, I mean, all summer. And now it's the winter. I don't know.
I
think
agree
it's,
with Megan's recommendation, because they're talking rats as well as garbage, and it's a neighborhood nuisance.
yeah, give it to the court.
Okay, do you need
I think it'd
a,
be quicker than giving it to
Need
the
a motion?
selectmen.
They vote, yeah.
okay, so we need a motion. Someone want to,
And
I'll
the
do-
motion, yeah, go ahead.
I'll make a motion that we support the recommendation of the Director of the Board of Health, that we proceed with notification of removal within 2 weeks, or there'll be legal action taken.
good, okay, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, I think it's a little neater than giving it to the selectmen to worry about. Let's just handle it with
Handle
the court.
Right.
And if that takes too long, we'll handle, the DPW will go out there and take it and give them a bill.
Well, they could withhold money from the sale of the property to pay for it, and something could be worked out.
Okay,
So the next items on the agenda are new business. The first hearing this evening is Smith, 28 Harborview Road, to reconsider orders of conditions granted January 10th, 2006. There's to be no increase in square footage, habitable space, or number of bedrooms beyond those as shown on plan dated December 29th, 2005. Proposal to construct a 240 square foot living room addition which will be replacing the existing deck.
I now open the hearing.
Good evening, Trevor Meyer, Meyer and Son Builders, representing the owner, Stephen Smith. I have these from you. So it was pretty well summarized. So we're looking to add a 240 square foot living room addition onto the right-hand side of the house, which would replace an existing deck at the property. There'd be no increase in square footage associated with bedrooms. So we feel there's no adverse effect associated with the septic and or effluent associated with the project.
I'm sorry, excuse me, is this mic on?
Oh,
Yep.
it's not amplified. It's
Okay.
just for the-
I'm sorry, okay. Okay, go ahead, sorry.
That's all.
That's all. Anyone in the audience wish to make any comments? Now, close the hearing and discussion with the board. Questions?
I move that the recommendation of the director be accepted.
Second?
Do we have a recommendation?
Do you want to hear it?
Yeah. Sure, ready.
The number of bedrooms
Oh.
will, that's okay, will remain the same and no further variances are requested at this time. The Health Director recommends the approval of the reconsideration with the following conditions. The dwelling is restricted to a maximum of 2 bedrooms. No increase in habitable space or square footage without further review by the Board of Health. And a copy of the floor plan and the approval shall be recorded at the Registry of Deeds to run with the property.
Go for it.
Okay. I moved it, so.
I'll do a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yep. The hearing's passed.
So after
Okay,
it's
sorry
recorded,
about that.
or
No,
after
it's
it's
okay.
prepared, I'll
Just kick
record
me.
it. Please. No, call me. Thank you. Thank you.
Our next hearing this evening we have is Franklin 5 Hoyden Street to reconsider order of conditions granted November 30th, 1994. There's to be no increase in habitable space to the dwelling. Proposal to reconfigure the first floor, add a second floor to the existing house.
Hi, Katie.
I now open the meeting. Hearing, I'm sorry.
Dan Croto, Moran Engineering. This seems to be a popular subject, revisiting these old orders. So what the owners are requesting is to remove 2 of the bedrooms that are in the downstairs. I think their family is, their kids are getting older, and they would like a little more separation room. Put 2 of the bedrooms from downstairs upstairs. One of the bedroom area is going to be the stairways to get upstairs, and the other bedroom becomes an open study to the living room, an office area to the living room, just opening up the bottom floor a little bit. The basement is space, so there's no chance of some renegade room downstairs being turned into anything. But so I did review this with Megan last Monday or so, or 2 Mondays ago. The project itself has to go before Zoning Board of Appeals pending approval tonight, and they're not changing the footprint at all, so the conservation, it shouldn't be an issue with conservation, but we will have to run it by the Conservation Department as well. So with that, I will ask for comments, please.
Any comments from the audience?
One of the owners is, or the owner is here, Barbara is here as well for questions. Her husband is the engineer architect who drew these plans, but he wasn't able to make it tonight. Jen, I have a couple cards.
Okay. Close the hearing and open to discussion of the board.
I move that
Do you want to hear the
Wait a
director?
minute.
Oh, wait a minute.
The director recommends the approval of the reconsideration with the following conditions. The dwelling is restricted to a maximum of 3 bedrooms, no increase in habitable space or square footage without further review by the Board of Health, and a copy of the floor plan, and the approval shall be recorded at the Registry of Deeds to run with the property.
So I move approval of the director's recommendation.
And I'll second it.
Vote?
You-
Oh, yeah, I'm.
Okay.
Yeah,
All in
favor?
All in
Aye.
favor? Okay.
Aye.
Thank you.
I was gonna let you speak.
Do you want me to just jump in after?
Let's see, we still have to go through ZBA, so we need to rush. I'll go to home. Okay, plan on mailing unless I get back to something.
Thanks, good luck.
Thank you.
The final hearing for this evening is Perks, Taylor and Sarah Powell, 545 Route 28, request to amend the restrictions on the current food service permit and allow an expansion of space into the existing retail area of the building. Proposal includes a request for additional seating in indoor service space and patron use of a restroom to be installed.
Now open the hearing.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, everybody. My name's Taylor Powell. I met some of you before. It's been a while since I was in front of you guys, but my wife and I own and manage Perks in downtown Harwich Board. I'm the original proprietor since we opened in summer of 2010. Since then, I made it my goal and ambition to make this seasonal business work. The restaurant business is very difficult to run. However, if you're operating a seasonal restaurant, it's even harder. That's why I'm here before you today. I'm here to request a change of use for the retail space that's located in the front of the building to become part of the restaurant, part of Perks. Currently, we're all outdoor, so if it rains, we lose business. The space was most recently used as a women's clothing boutique, which my family owned and my now wife operated at the time. That's where we met. That was in business for over 15 years. It was a seasonal clothing business, and it's out of business because retail is out. So the space is located in the front of the building at 545 Route 28. And this is the building that's directly located next to the port and in between the hot stove and the port and next to the Grey Gull. And it's in the same building that we operate Perks out of. With the potential of absorbing the retail space, we'd like to acquire the additional seating and water flow that's allocated for that space. To my knowledge, it'll be 5 seats. And then it would also be to operate on the same paper service guidelines that are written to our current permit we have today. With making these changes, I wanted to point out a few things to the board that would be improvements and help ease any concerns about the septic, and then show that it won't impact our septic whatsoever. We upgraded the system with the Board of Health when we first opened, and that was supposed to be sufficient for what for the building. We are seasonal. What we're planning on doing is removing all the toilets in the whole building, so even in the apartment, taking the toilet out. And I don't think maybe the board's up to date on gallons per flush, but some of those toilets in there are about 7 gallons of flush. And we can get it down to 0.8 gallons on some of the toilets. So if we were to do that, that's a huge jump in just looking
So
at
how many
water.
are there, I'm sorry?
There's 3 bathrooms in the
Okay.
building. There's 1 in the apartment, and there's 2 downstairs in the business. So, before 1984 toilets, there were about 7 gallons of flush. Now they have 0.8 gallon flushes and 1.08 gallon flushes. I'd happily install those toilets to help save over 4,000 gallons per person per year, per toilet, per person. Also, I'd like to, I don't know if we need to propose this or not, but one requirement that's not written into our permit is to have our septic and grease trap pumped. Now, I did that in years past because I was curious. I mean, we haven't had it pumped. I didn't know what was in there or what was going on. I didn't bring the reports with me, but nothing was in there. And there was really nothing in our grease trap. So the board, years ago, made us put in a 1,000-gallon grease trap. The guy couldn't get anything out. He said it was just a little bit of sludge, and it was very difficult, and it was empty.
And when was this, I'm sorry?
This was last year.
Okay.
Every year I get a pump now, just for my own sake, but the reason there's no grease in there is because we're not washing dishes. We're all paper service. I mean, we wash some utensils, but we're not producing grease, and, anything in the kitchen, our grease is recycled. We have a service that comes, picks up the grease to recycle it. So, you know, I'm happily to have, you know, if part of this condition, to have it pumped to ease any concerns about the leaching or any of what's in the septic. We also plan to follow all building codes and town codes in this process. We hope to decommission one of the bathrooms that are inside the Perks and make it better, move it to the front and make it so the handicap could use it. You know, one thing I'd like to point out as well is that we're seasonal, so we're mandated by our water. We can't be open year-round, so we really have this short window to make it work. So in that short window, the board has allocated us 158 days, plus or minus a few. So a week or two before Memorial Day weekend, and then we're supposed to be shut off by October 20th. So I counted on the calendar tonight. I got 158, but some years it's different because Labor Day might fall on a different, Memorial Day might fall on a different day. But anyway, my point is, we're not using the water for 158 days, and the water flow that the board looks at is throughout the whole year. We're only using the water for 100 days, and I'll tell you why. Our business is open around the school system. When school's out, we open up. I used to stay open in June, and we lost so much money because more money goes out the door than in. You have to pay the staff and all the college kids to keep them entertained, because if you don't employ them and overly pay them, they're gonna leave you by July 4th, and then season hits and you're in the weeds big time. So June's always a rough month. We always lose a lot of money, but we only open on weekends. And in the fall, we only do weekends. So really the bulk spike would be July 4th to the last week of August that we have our main usage. So if it doesn't rain at all, the maximum we're gonna use the property is 100 days. The proposed space in the front, I wouldn't have open in the morning. It would just be more of a lunchtime, dinner time thing. So it wouldn't be using that most of the time as well. And some nearby restaurants like Red's Pizza, the Hot Stove Saloon, the Port Restaurant, they have all gained approval to absorb the additional space next to them in the past. And I just hope I'm given that same chance that they were. Red's took over the other space next to them I mean, you guys probably saw this on the board, but the Port took over a art gallery, and I think the Hot Stove took over some sort of realty building or a realtor service. So I ask you to please allow us to convert this space so we can start this process now. It's going to take a long time. It's going to be a lot of money, a lot of work, a big investment on my part. And I want to help contribute and improve the town. And if I don't try to start this process now, I won't see the light of day by next season. So we plan on helping to contribute to the town in a positive way in the future, and hopefully you guys will help us do that.
Do you do any grilling?
We do grilling. We have a hood. We get the hood cleaned after every.
Where's the grease from the grilling?
We have a collection bin outside, and
So it doesn't go into the grease trap?
none whatsoever. None
That's
whatsoever.
strange.
Yeah.
No. So we have a collection bin outside, and they come and take it.
Okay.
So that was one of the questions I had. The second question I have, and it's because I'm not familiar with this, you're talking about employee restrooms. What about a restroom for patrons? I've used your bathroom, so I go to all the strolls. And I think, I don't know what the guidelines are for restaurants, but I thought there was a certain number of seating arrangement, whatever the guidelines are, that you have to have a bathroom if you have so many patrons. Is there a plan to have one of these restrooms for patrons?
I don't mean to interrupt, but the history was that the bathroom that is in there was only for the employees and not to be used by patrons.
Well, I've
We on
used
the
it at
same-
least 3 times,
Well,
so.
are we on the same page there?
Yeah, I mean,
Because the capacity for the entire building was extremely low, because it was never built out as a restaurant. It was a dress store that has progressed from selling dresses and offering coffee to the patrons in the dress store, to having the outside seating, to serving lattes, to a menu, to a full bar and under the guidance that those folks would use the bathrooms, the public bathrooms across
Oh.
the street.
Hmm.
Are we on the same page there?
Yeah, I mean, somewhat.
Okay.
That's somewhat right. I mean, the clothing store was a separate business from that. We started off as a coffee shop. I was gonna go out of business, so I had to make the changes to stay in business.
Right.
You know, just.
But all of those compromises along the way were to meet your demands with your limited capacity.
Right, I said a couple conversations with Megan about the bathroom, and the reason that the bathroom, there's question about it is because technically it's in the kitchen, even though it's not in the kitchen, you consider it's a kitchen.
No one other than an employee should be using that bathroom.
So, well, I mean, right now we're closed, I'm trying to do what I can to see if I can move that bathroom to the front, is what the
But I mean,
goal-
that's been under your management, and that bathroom has been open to the public.
We don't openly invite people in. Some people have used the bathroom in the past, yeah, when we've gotten busy.
But I mean,
We have
that's-
signs up that do say employees only, and
That should be under your management to not allow that to happen. I mean, the people that work there see the people go in there and and haven't stopped them. If
I'm-
this woman is telling you that she's used it a few times,
Well, if you look
so I
at-
just want to be on the same page.
you know, I'm just saying, I think it would be a great service. I'm not being contentious about it. I think it would, if possible, and with the capacity, it would be a great service if you could provide a bathroom. And make it, like you're saying, might be in the front of the store, but I think that would be terrific.
that's the plan, and I want to invest in doing that.
Yeah.
And there's also talk that if that didn't work, that the porta potties outside would work. But either way, I want to find a solution to this, and that's why I'm here. So,
But part of your request is to expand to indoor and outdoor seating, so the capacity is going to expand.
And add a bathroom.
not add a bathroom, remove one. Remove one of those bathrooms and just move it. So not add a bathroom to the system.
But it would be to the public, which means more use.
Okay.
Because the building's capped at a gallon per rate flow.
I understand, but that's capped at that at 365 days a year, and like I'm saying, we only use it 100 days a year.
Okay.
You know, so
I get that.
It should be viewed at, we're not, there is a spike, and the spike's from July 4th to the last week of August. We're not that busy in the other times of the year, and, you know, I understand, I respect, you know, what you guys do for the town and everything you guys do. I really truly
And
love
you've
this
done a
town.
terrific job.
You know, I
You've
just wanna
invested a lot of
continue that.
time and money there,
Yeah,
and I think it's terrific.
thank you.
But it's never been a restaurant.
There was a restaurant there, it's just, they never had a health permit, so we can't go back to the grandfathered in into the deeds.
But I mean, the
was a tea room
the
and then-
capacity and flow, it's like taking an art gallery and saying, I want to make this a restaurant now. That's kind of the problem that we're bumping up against. To take any space on that street and convert it from one thing to another.
And I think, if I recall.
Everyone would want to do that
Right.
and disregard the limitations of the size. If you had more square footage, if you had a bigger lot, you could put a bigger septic system in there. You could have upstairs and downstairs. It could be a whole saloon. I get that. But we're tied by what's the size of what's there.
Right, no, I understand. There is a 2-bedroom apartment upstairs. It's really a 1-bedroom, so there's additional flow that's being counted against us there that we're not utilizing. It's just storage. My wife and I live there. And we only live there for the season. Again, the water, we're being judged on the year. We're only there for a short period of time.
So if you pull the bathroom and bring it to the first floor, what are you gonna use?
A thought of mine, to be honest with you, was to just shut that whole apartment down. You know, if I can make the business work that way, just not have an apartment up there. But I think there's a lot more to it to decommission a whole apartment,
Yeah.
you know? I care about the guests, I care about the people that come visit this town, I care about the residents, I wanna make it better for them. We can use the chamber lot bathroom, it's not conducive for business.
Right.
I'm willing to invest the money to improve the business and improve the quality of town. I have a good history of showing that, and I want to continue that. And I think by having a handicap accessible bathroom, it's gonna improve it where someone, if they need to go to the bathroom. That part of the business, again, would be the front, and I'm only opening that, or planning to if I'm allowed, for lunch and dinner. So it's not gonna be open the full 24 hours a day, the full, 3 meals. So there won't be as much flow. And then with the additional changes, like I said, about improving the efficiency of the toilets, I really don't see the stress or strain on the system that you guys see. I'm sorry, I don't see that eye to eye, but, in the morning, the water we use is someone else's septic problem. They get a to-go coffee and they go out the door.
Not to interrupt you, but just
Yeah.
to make a point that it's not us seeing it a certain way. It's us enforcing the law of Title V.
Equally.
We're not inventing it and having an opinion here. We're trying to be fair to you and give you as much as we can, but we're held to the law. So
I wanna
there's a big
ask-
difference.
Yeah.
Okay,
I want to
appreciate
ask
that.
if we have precedents, because I could be totally off-center on this, but I remember when we reviewed the application of the hot stove at Cranberry Valley, and because they were not open 12 months a year, and they had the argument of, well, they were only open a limited time, and would we approve or disapprove because they were open less? And if I recall correctly, that was a pretty, I'm not gonna say contentious, but it was a pretty strict interpretation of how we didn't allow it based on the number of months versus when they were open. So, do we have anything that we can fall back on to make a objective decision here so that, we can prove to you that we're treating everybody equally here?
Well,
Do you need to open it? I have Megan's recommendations
Oh,
that
good.
get
Oh,
into,
good.
do you need
Okay.
to open it to public comment first
Any
prior to that?
comments from the public,
I
sir?
have another question. Can you fill in the details of what this bathroom's gonna look like when you finish renovating it?
Yeah, I provided a sketch to Megan weeks ago that, I don't know if it's in your packet or not, but I was gonna install a ramp and everything to get easier access for someone to come in the building and, follow all the building codes of the bathroom as far as space.
Well, how about the sanitary facilities? How about the sink and the toilet and the towel rack and all that?
Of course, I don't mean to cut any corners, follow all the codes necessary and guidelines that the town,
Hot water,
of course,
soap,
yes.
and what kind of a towel dispenser did you have in mind?
Disposable paper. I almost like to go to,
Not a blower.
for environmental reasons, I'd like to, but I think it would be a paper dispenser, because we are paper service only.
And the size, the square foot, roughly?
Usually they're about this big, so I'd say
No, I'm
one by
talking
one.
about the square feet of the bathroom.
Of the bathroom, bigger than what the code will allow, as big as I gotta make it to make it handicap accessible for the guests,
And it's your understanding that will be open to the public?
to the patrons, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do we have to close public comment?
I close the hearing. No public comments, okay?
So the limiting factor for the property is the septic system. The system was upgraded in 2009 and required 9 setback variances. Because it was already an existing coffee shop, the septic system was designed for 482 gallons because that's all the site could actually accommodate. Title V does state that all new restaurants require a minimum of 1,000 gallons of flow per day. So it's already at half of that. With the proposed conversion of the retail space into the restaurant space, the septic allocation for the food service totals 262 gallons per day. Under Title V, this would equate to 13 total seats for the entire property. The health director cannot support the request for additional space for patrons at this location. The existing septic system does not have the capacity to support this. Perks already exceeds the septic capacity, and the 102 gallon per day retail space would provide to the restaurant should be put towards the existing deficiency that's already there, not the expansion of use. The new space would lend itself to a high occupancy of patrons, even if it's standing room only. Should the applicant wish to change the use to exclusively interior use, remove all seating in the bar from the outside of the business, she could then support the change to allow 13 only interior seats. If that was the case, a new application would need to be filled outlining this business plan.
What about, what about if they did something with the outside to make the, I don't know, this is cuckoo, but some kind of a roofing thing on the outside? So, I mean, part of the beauty of this place is particularly with the stroll, is that it's the outside and they have a great band. I mean, it's really a nice facility. Is there some maybe that's what you're saying in the last sentence, to have some alternative, like maybe keep the outside, not do the inside, something that meets the need of the owner and the public.
Part of the original permit now is it's weather dependent, so
Yeah, I
you
know.
would have to re-look that permit
Yeah,
if you want.
if they,
As I remember, I've only been to the stroll a couple of times, but I remember there's no seats out there. People
that's
are
very
sit-
popular.
The people are sitting on the stone wall mostly.
Yeah, so,
I mean, if you don't have seats, is that an official outdoor restaurant?
There are seats out there.
yeah, on that round part, you mean. Very few, we've never
Well,
eaten there. I
there-
think people just come in, don't use the bathroom, don't buy food, I'm sorry, but I mean, not anything offensive, but go because it's really very nice and they have a
Oh, I'm
live
not
band.
Yeah, I'm not saying, but I'm just saying, I don't remember any chairs with legs on it.
Oh,
out
yeah,
there.
yeah, they have tables and chairs.
And you can always continue this too until Megan is here if you'd
Yeah.
like to further discuss options
How
with
many
her.
chairs and tables do you have outdoors? Do you know?
There's, we have offset seating plan for 33 convenience seats.
I'm sorry?
33 convenience seats are off-seat, like an off-seating seating plan. So the 8 seats that were originally talked about aren't being used at all. It's to-go service only. You know.
What's a convenience seat?
Convenience seating, it was an agreement with Paula Champagne we came up with, where someone could just grab their tea, their muffin, and go sit at the table.
So there's no wait staff, it's you go up to
Yeah,
order
but is
and you
that
go up and pick
considered
up
a
your
restaurant?
food. That was what they had
Legally.
established
Is it
originally.
legally a restaurant?
Yes, because
Yeah.
we inspect the kitchen. and-
Yeah, all our licensing are through the town, and you know, really, I mean, I work for the town because I'm at your guys' mercy. I really am. I flew up here from Florida to be at the meeting. I'm sorry Megan's not here. I'll fly back again. I'll do whatever it takes. I do care that much, not about what I'm trying to do, but to improve the quality of town. Some of the changes I made around there have now been emulated. Now town is bustling. Now they're talking about a 7% increase with property values and everything else in there. And it all kind of started with this outdoor concept that I had. I'll put in porta potties. We don't have to worry about this handicap bathroom. We'll have standing room and porta potties. Make it no seats, if that's what your concern is. There's no additional water flow. I need to justify in my own right and mind to buy this building and make it work. I'm not going for a pie. I'm not an Outback Steakhouse. I'm not a Starbucks. I don't have big bucks to just go somewhere else. I'm stuck where I'm at. My family owns the building. They're in a bind. They want to sell it. I can't buy it unless I can do something with the front. I can't run a retail space in there because we lost $80,000 running a retail space. Retail's out. There's a reason why Buc-ee's went out of business. So I got to continue to do what I'm doing and do everything I can to make this work. I'm sorry for that, but hopefully you can see it in my eyes on what I'm trying to do, and it's a positive thing. And I don't want to cut any corners. I want to do it however the board would recommend. But you know, acquiring that space, if it rains every day in the summer, I am so hosed. It's so bad for me. It really is, because there's one summer where it is going to rain every day. So my permit, my hands are tied. Weather dependent, no wait service, paper service only. I got to shut my water off. I can't even rent the apartment to a teacher or someone in low-income housing, which I would love to do. I'd give it to them for free if they needed a place to stay. But we got to shut it all down. We're really tied here, and we really need to see if you guys can help. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here for your help. I mean,
Here's the situation as I see it. You've got, at times, 50 or 100 people milling around in your property. Now, at the moment, you don't have an official restroom for them, but they've been, you know, using it anyway sometimes. Now, you sell beer and you sell coffee and tea. Those are all diuretics. They're all going to have to pee. And if you have an opening, a public restroom in there, it's going to be used, and it's going to be used a lot. And the big problem we have is that you have a very limited flow permit. And what happens when all these people go into that restroom and continually flush that toilet, even though it's only 0.8 gallons of flush? That's our thought, you know, I mean, mine anyway, that we don't want, you don't want to overload your septic system. And if you can figure out a way of making your restroom work without that.
But it's not supposed to have a restroom for the public.
I'm sorry?
It's not supposed to have a restroom for the public.
Well, we were just talking about that.
I know, and that's one of the things we need to discuss.
If it doesn't have a public restroom, why are we talking about it at all?
This is what he would like to do
Yeah, but I'm not getting your point.
because of the flow of water.
Yeah, I
used,
understand, but what's
yeah.
your point?
He's not supposed to have a restroom for public use because of the water flow and the septic system.
They
Yeah.
go across the street to the, whatever that building is,
So
or,
you're saying you shouldn't open an indoor restroom because you won't have a public restroom?
Can you
No,
help me
the
for-
septic capacity to the building is far too small
Yeah.
for what he's operating
That's what I'm saying.
today,
That's
or
exactly what
as
I'm
it's
saying.
going.
Yeah.
And now, he's requesting that we grant him more space, more seats,
Yeah.
and the trade-off is he's gonna add a bathroom to it. And the problem is that the whole place, with more seats, more patrons, all he's doing is going in the opposite direction of the direction we're supposed to be taking
Yeah,
it.
that's what I've been saying, that's all.
That's all.
it is,
Do you understand our problem?
Ideally, there's an empty lot next to this parcel, and you buy that and you put a septic system in there.
yeah,
That's not realistic.
it's not.
But that's the answer. I just want to put that out there. That's a feasible answer.
when
If
we,
you wanted to make that
Sorry.
a place, you buy the building next door to it, and you re-engineer the whole lot and put a giant septic system in there that handles capacity like all the other big restaurants.
I just would hate to see the front space go vacant again. I did my darndest to
Your,
try to
your
get.
point, your point is there's a hardship,
Mhm.
you're in a seasonal position, and that we should come up with a way to grant you the ability to turn that into a restaurant, to financially make the numbers work for you. And I get that. You've done a tremendous job with what we've given you. It's a vibrant, well-liked business, the way it is. Using the bathrooms across the street is the way it was set up. So we could stretch as far as we were able to stretch. This next request is taking it to another dimension. And I would suggest coming back with a different idea.
The porta potties.
Based on
maybe?
the health director's opinion and the fact that we're going from a bad situation as far as the numbers are concerned, which we can't change because it's based on the septic, which we can't change,
We
to
can
a
offer
worse
continuance
scenario is what you're proposing.
and when we've had situations, not, obviously not the same, what services does the town have, in addition to, let's say, meeting with Megan, to help people who want to move forward but have pretty major barriers? What is it so that we're doing it within the guidelines but not discouraging business?
So some of the other restaurants that were mentioned earlier, they at least had the appropriate flow for the amount of seats that they
Right.
have. So they may not have met the 1,000-gallon-a-day flow required, but they had the appropriate amount of flow for the amount of seats that they had.
But is there help from, let's say, from, like, not only Megan for the Board of Health, but engineers or something to give the ideas about what would work, maybe this idea about the big septic out back or whatever it might be? Because
The
I don't.
lot's too small, there's no
Oh.
room to put
Oh.
a big septic system in.
Yeah.
That's the issue that he's contending with.
Yeah.
And as far as I'm concerned, porta potties are out because a porta potty can be about as technically sophisticated as a hole in the ground. And they're disgusting, and they have bad smells, and I wouldn't want one anywhere near food.
Well, I think that Harwich Port has a real shortage of places to eat out, is my opinion, because my husband and I probably go out once a week. And I am just saying, my only thought is, how can we help a business person, maybe not even you, but let's say, how can we,
Well, I think we
what
need
kind of
to,
services do we get
I
to get
think we need
technical
to-
help?
I think,
we need to do this.
Like a continuance?
yeah, because we're getting off,
Yeah.
we're wasting this gentleman's time with a conversation about how we could better serve the business community
Correct.
in the future. So let's focus back in on this particular case and bring this to a conclusion, is my suggestion.
I've got nothing else.
I mean, I'd like to say, sure, let's do it, but
That's not what I'm saying.
But-
I'm saying, it would probably have to have a continuance. How do we,
Or he has the option to withdraw this request, rework it, and come back to us, rather than get a vote right now.
yeah,
That's not a bad option for him.
Megan's
Or
always
we
happy to
could-
go over options.
Or we could put it to a vote right now.
I don't think we should.
no, I don't either.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you're wasting my time. I flew up here to be with you guys. I'll fly up again. I'll fly up as many, I'll drive, whatever it takes. So, yeah, if that's what it is, I'll withdraw it.
You just don't
And
have
just
enough
see-
capacity system for what you're trying to do.
Withdraw
If we
without
can
prejudice.
figure out that problem,
Hmm?
It's withdraw without prejudice.
Okay. So, that's the motion. The motion would be to withdraw without prejudice with a continuance? No, withdraw without prejudice.
If Taylor withdraws, then he will have to completely reapply. Well, he would need a whole new filing packet.
That's fine.
If you move to continue, we continue it to a date certain, and then it'll have to get us any additional information. I'd have to get you the date that we would need it by to give to the members. So you have either option that you have to tell them.
But either way, I could meet the next meeting, which would be
December 11th.
yeah, so that's as soon as, so
Yeah.
either way, it's the same, isn't it?
Well, again, if you withdraw without prejudice, you have to reapply a whole new 8 packets of everything.
I understand what she's telling you, because there's two big options there. Let's not rush this right now for you. Go over those two options again,
Yeah.
so he's clear.
If you withdraw without prejudice, you can reapply, but you have to reapply to the board. If you wanna do the December meeting, you can, you just have to do it by filing deadline, if you wanna do January, February, whatever. If you continue, the board can continue it to a date certain, and that gives you time to provide additional information to the board. The hearing stays open, and then they can continue it to December 11th, January, whatever. So it's
That's
a
the-
So you don't
That's
have to
Yeah,
refile.
let's continue
Yeah.
it, and
Yeah.
I'll work with Megan, and I'll try to provide whatever information I can and do more research and
continue to December.
Do I hear a motion to continue until the December meeting?
What's that deadline, though, for him to submit that's coming right up?
I don't.
He
if
wouldn't
you
have to
wanna call
submit
me
though,
on
right?
this,
But
he would
it
have to
could-
submit additional information.
But
to
not the
you.
packet.
Or could he put it on the agenda for January?
Yeah, probably more realistic.
Which would you prefer?
I'd prefer December, because let's just say hypothetically, anything is approved from this board, I could get rejected on the back end from the selectmen or planning or
Okay.
zoning. So it's just a bunch of big hurdles, so I'd rather sooner than later, because they're still gonna have to build anything out.
Okay.
And then if I prolonged it to January, I'm going into not this summer, but the following summer.
So,
So I can email you tomorrow.
That'd be
and
great.
let you know the date that we'll have to have additional information.
That'd be great. Thank you guys for your time and everything. I appreciate it. I really do, so.
Thank you.
trying to work with you, we really are.
I get it. I get it.
I need a motion,
Good
for a continuance.
I'll make a motion, we continue this hearing.
I'll
Second,
second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we'll see you guys soon.
Yep,
Yeah.
thanks.
So we've actually covered everything else.
We're done?
We're done?
Unless you guys have anything else to discuss.
If you want to read the appointments.
I'll make a motion, we close the hearing?
I closed it, didn't I close it?
No,
No.
we're gonna make a motion.
Oh, I make a motion, we close the hearing.
No
Second
one's
it.
here, so I think you're safe.
And then you're making an appeal, just, I totally forget that until I'm on my way over here, try to get another member on the board.
Okay.
And don't forget, I move, I don't make a motion.
I'm sorry?
Remember? Larry was very, very adamant about
The
that.
terminology use.
Okay, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's moved.